If the alternator to engine drive ratio is 2.25 to 1, what RPM will the alternator have when the engine is idling at 400 RPM? And they give us a hint here to use a direct proportion. So first, my alternator to engine is 2.25 to 1. And that must be equal to the alternator, which is the part we do not know. I'm going to call that A for alternator, to engine. That's supposed to be 400. Then we cross multiply, which gives us 1A, or A equals 2.25 times 400, which is 900. So the alternator will have 900 RPM when the engine is idling at 400. On the next one, a worker earns $28.50 per hour. If she receives a 6.5% raise, what is the amount of her hourly raise? So she earns $28.50 per hour, but then she is going to get an increase of 6.5%, which is 0.065. Let me explain that. 6.5% is the same thing as 6.5%, because 1/2 is the same thing as 0.5. Converting 6.5% to a decimal, I'm going to move that decimal 2 places to the left, and then I put zeros for placeholders. So that's where I got the 0.065. So 0.065 of 28.50, we multiply those two together using my calculator. I get 1.8525. And so therefore, the amount of her hourly raise is, rounding, we get $1.85. Because this is money, we're going to go to 2 decimal places. The amount of her hourly raise is $1.85. We could even go on and ask another question, or this question could have been worded as, what does she earn now per hour? And to do that, we would just add this $1.85 to the $28.50. But in this case, the question is just, what is her raise amount? In this example, we are going to solve the proportion equation by cross multiplication. But before we can do that, I need to convert everything to 1 unit. So right now we have 7 feet 6 inches, and it would be easier to either write these as fractions or decimals. I'm going to go ahead and use fractions, even though in this particular problem it would probably be easier to use decimals, but that's not always the case. So therefore, 7 foot 6 inches is the same as 7 foot and 6/12 feet. Therefore, we could write this in the format of an improper fraction. 12 times 7 add 6 gives us 90/12. over 12. So what I chose to do in this case was I converted this to feet. I could have converted it to inches, but converting it to feet is just a different way of doing this. And so therefore, we have 90 over 12 feet is the same as 7 foot 6 inches. And then I need to do the same thing for 3 foot 3 inches, 3 foot 3 inches is 3 3/12 feet. Converting that to an improper fraction, we multiply 3 times 12 and then add 3 to give us 39 over 12. And then one more, 6 foot 6 inches is the same as 6 6/12 of a foot. Converting that to an improper fraction, 12 times 6 plus 6 gives us 78 over 12. And so now we can write this together as a proportion. 7 foot 6 inches was 90 divided by 12 over 3 foot 3 inches is 39 over 12, and that fraction is equal to L, we do not know, over 6 foot 6 inches that we determined was 78 over 12. And I am just now realizing how this was not the easiest route to take, but I'm going to go ahead and follow through with it. I'm going to cross multiply 90 divided by 12 times 78 divided by 12 is equal to 39 divided by 12 times L. So what I'm going to do is simplify the left side. We'll see if this turns out nice. In my calculator, I'm going to put in 90 divided by 12 in parentheses, and then multiply 78 divided by 12. If I wasn't using my calculator, I would just multiply straight across. When I do that, I get 48.75. So I'm going to hit the math button, the fraction, and convert this to get 195 over 4 equals 39/12 times L. I could divide both sides by 39 over 12, but if you recall, to divide a fraction, we keep it, change it, flip it, or multiply by the reciprocal. So instead of dividing by 39 over 12, I'm going to multiply by 12 over 39. What I do to one side, I need to also do the other side. And so notice what happens. The 39 and the 39 cancel to be 1. The 12 and the 12 cancel to be 1. So we're left with just 1L. And then if I'm simplifying the left side without a calculator, I just multiply straight across and then reduce. Or if I'm using my calculator, I can put this entire fraction, 12 divided by 39 times 195 5 divided by 4 using parentheses. And I push enter, and it ends up being a nice, neat number, 15. And I must remember whether or not this was in inches or feet. When I converted using this particular method, I converted it to feet. So my final answer is 15 feet. And then I look at my answer blank and I see that it was wanting feet. So 15 is the number that would go in that answer blank. If you get to the point down here where your answer is in inches, then of course you would need to convert that to feet.